nervous about today's video because color theory is one of the things that has always intimidated me, but at the same time also intrigued me very, very much. As I said in my previous video, learning color theory is one of my art goals this year, and that got a few of my amazing subscribers interested in learning it with me. So, after absorbing a ton of information in order to acquaint myself with the basics of color theory, here I am with my learning process, findings, and takeaways. I'll also try to answer some important questions that came to my mind as a beginner, and I hope it helps you get some clarity on certain concepts too if you've been curious about them. For a beginner, color theory can feel like learning a new language, and this is one of the topics that still boggles many artists' minds with its controversies about the color wheel, ideal primary color selection, color psychology, color temperature, and much more. So, before we get into all of that, let's get to know certain basic terms that are frequently used while talking about color theory. The first thing we need to know is what is color? Very simply put, color is nothing but the light reflected by an object. For example, if a leaf is green, that means it reflects the green light while absorbing the lights of all other colors in the visible spectrum. However, in art, color is subjective and it is considered a sensation, basically a response that is created when we are exposed to certain colors. Different individuals have different associations with certain colors. A color that might evoke one reaction in a person could evoke the opposite reaction in another person. It could be due to a number of reasons. It could either be because the person has a different association with that color, or the way they were exposed to that color, or it could also be their perceptions around it, or their cultural or personal preferences. So, what a color might mean to me might mean something completely different to you. Now that we know a bit about color, let's get these technical terms out of the way by understanding them one by one. What we generally perceive as color is actually hue in color theory. So, hue is basically the color or the purest form of the color we see, or in a wide range of colors. If we are able to tell apart the colors, it means that we are actually able to identify and differentiate between different hues. For instance, if we are able to identify a lighter green and a darker green, the hue of both these colors are the same, that is green, even though their brightness or lightness might differ from each other, which is actually the value of the color. So, in simple terms, value is how light or how dark the color is. Moreover, these hues can be transformed in three different ways. First is by adding white to the original pigment, or adding gray to the original pigment, or adding black to the original pigment. If we add white, the color we receive is referred to as tint. If we add gray, we call it the tone of the color, and if we add black, we call them shades of the color. So you must have heard the term tone it down. I think it comes from this fact that when gray is added to a color, it is toned down. Two other terms that are used very closely in relation with these terms are saturation and chroma. They basically refer to the purity or intensity of the color. So, where red seems to be the reddest, is called highly saturated. Now, let's begin with the controversial part of color theory. There have been constant debates around which color system is better and which color wheel gives us a wider range of colors and what the true primaries are. So I'll be making both the color wheels and see which color wheel is better and also try to understand what the whole debate is all about. First, I'll be making the traditional RYB color wheel, where red, yellow, and blue are the primary colors. So, what are primary colors? By definition, primary colors are colors that cannot be produced by mixing other colors. I'm making a 12 shade color wheel here, which is, I think, the most basic color wheel that we have, where there are three primary colors, three secondary colors, and six tertiary colors. As we already know that primary colors cannot be created by mixing other colors, but all other colors can be created by mixing primary and secondary colors. So now I'm mixing some secondary colors. First, I made an orange by mixing yellow and red. Now I'm mixing some yellow and blue to make a green color, and then mixing some blue and red should give me purple theoretically, but actually it does not. And I'll be talking a bit about that later on. Now I'm mixing the tertiary colors, which are made by mixing the primary and the secondary colors. As you can see, there are two tertiary colors between two primary colors. So the color that leans towards the primary color is named after that. For example, when red is mixed in orange, it is called red orange, and when yellow is mixed in orange, it is called yellow orange. And now, as you can see, when I mixed some red in the mixture of red and blue, which was supposed to give me purple, it turns out to be something like a brown, which theoretically isn't true. But here is where the limitation of this traditional color wheel comes in. In theory, the mixture of red and blue should give us a purple, but actually it does not. It could be because of the different properties of the pigments used. These pigments could have different undertones, resulting in a completely different color. So that's where the CMY color wheel comes into play. The CMY color wheel is slightly different from the traditional RYB color wheel, and the primaries used in this color wheel are cyan, magenta, and yellow. These colors or pigments are used in printing, and they are capable of creating a wider range of color as compared to the traditional color wheel. That's why it has become a more preferred color wheel or color system used by many artists and designers. As I was mixing up the secondary colors of the CMY wheel, I found out that the secondary colors kind of resembled the primary colors of the first wheel. However, since I was doing so much of color mixing for the first time, my proportions of the pigments and everything was not perfect at all, and I made a mistake while mixing magenta and blue to create a purple. I should have mixed them in equal parts, but when I started mixing my tertiary colors, it was then I realized this mistake because both the colors looked almost similar. So I tried to save this a bit by lifting off some of the color and painting over it with a closer resembling shade. Also, I am not sure how right my color mixing was, but the charts and the color wheels that I looked for reference, I tried to create the closest possible shade for each of these primary, secondary, and tertiary colors with the pigments and paints available to me. I could definitely feel that there was and is a learning curve to learning color theory, and it is a thing of practice, and it was a very interesting experience for me. The more I researched and read about it, the more fascinating it got, and mixing all these colors together was such a fun experience. I would definitely encourage anyone interested in learning color theory they practice and create their own wheels and palettes and just see what colors work for them and just discover the properties of colors and how they mix together. Now that both the color wheels are side by side, it is so interesting to observe that the primary colors of the first color wheel can be seen in the secondary and tertiary colors of the second color wheel. I'm just quickly labeling all the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors, and after that, we will be learning about different color schemes that we can find in the color wheels. Apart from being a beautiful rainbow of colors, the color wheels also give an idea of the temperature of the colors. By temperature of the color, it is meant how cool or how warm the color is. So the colors that go towards yellow to red, they are considered as warm colors, and the colors that move towards blue in the color wheel are considered as cool colors. Now let's closely observe the color wheel and see which colors lie opposite to each other. These colors are called complementary colors, meaning they complement each other. So when they are placed next to each other, they create a high contrast and make each other appear more vibrant. And when they are mixed together, they should produce a neutral gray color according to theory. And we'll be testing this out just in a bit. After complementary colors, the next color scheme is analogous colors, which are colors that are next to each other. After analogous colors, the next color scheme I'll be talking about is the triadic color scheme. Simply put, it is a combination of three colors that form a triangle in a color wheel. Now I'll just be comparing these color schemes one by one and see how they look next to each other. The first color scheme is complementary color, where I'm using red and green for my first example. Now I can see that using complementary colors in a composition definitely makes it stand out. As I mentioned before, complementary colors also cancel out each other, so when we mix these colors, we should get a neutral gray or a brown tone. So I'm not sure if the color I got was a neutral gray or even close to brown, but I think they still neutralize each other and they create a sort of moody shade of the color. I also think I was getting varied results because of the proportions of the pigments I was mixing, and I think that will gradually come with practice. But it was still very interesting to see how a palette can be built by mixing the complementary colors together. Now let's move on to the analogous colors. These are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel and they look good together because they seem to have a similar undertone. Analogous colors also typically tend to have a similar temperature, so cool colors will look good together with other cool colors, and the warm colors will look good with other warm colors. Next up, we have the triadic color scheme, which are the colors that form a triangle on the color wheel. The triadic color scheme uses three colors that are evenly spaced around the color wheel. This creates a balanced and vibrant color palette, and these colors tend to be different from each other to provide a good contrast. So basically, the primary colors of the color wheel also form a triadic color scheme. There can be four possible combinations of triadic color schemes, which are the three colors of the primary color scheme, the three secondary colors, and the two sets of tertiary colors. And we can create unlimited number of palettes by using different tones, tints, shades, values of these colors. Now that we have learned some of the basic things about color and color theory, let's find out how important it is to learn color theory. Color and color theory in itself are very fascinating subjects, and the deeper you go, the more information you will find. But the fun part about learning color theory is it's not just all theory. You also get to practice as you go, and you have your own findings and your own takeaways. So, whether learning color theory is important or not, it depends on you and your goals as an artist. For me, I think it was a positive step ahead in my art learning journey, and I feel that I can make use of this knowledge while making my art pieces and also applying these concepts while making my own color palette. In a nutshell, color theory teaches us the interactions between the colors and how we can use them to their best abilities. This was just a first step in my color theory learning journey, and I hope you enjoyed this video and also got something to learn from it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, And thank you for staying with me until now. I hope you have a good day whenever you watch this. And if you're watching me for the first time, please consider subscribing. And also don't forget to like and share my videos. I will see you soon with another very interesting video. Until then, take care and goodbye.